welcome to another segment of Tony's show. I got to get this volume going again. And today we're going to be everywhere. As there's been so much going on, if I was not awake and I was watching the news, and that's all I was watching to get my information, I would be in a complete spin. I mean, I'd be so so bloody spun that the Canadian almost got out. Sorry about that. I'd be in such a spun listening to all this bullshit. It's just unbelievable what is being done. And you know what? It's interesting. I came out a couple weeks ago, talked about the torture thing. Polly, I think, came out a little while, just a couple days ago, and then I guess she went over it again from her take. And all of us have been saying this torture thing's been happening. And then the president of Ghana stated that every couple of weeks they're going to come up with some new scare tactic, some new anxiety overload, some whatever. And it's going to get to a point that we are going to be dealing with a bunch of brainless, frightened people. I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, I equate Canadians to the mentality of a 4-year-old, those who aren't awake. The 4-year-old, because 4-year-olds get into cliques. 4-year-olds get into the whole idea of just listening to whatever they're told, and they do it. They're being obedient, they're being subservient, whatever. And 4-year-olds don't ask questions, they just go along. And that's what we have going on right now in Canada. I mean, for the most part, I'd say probably 90-95% of the population have the mentality of a 4-year-old. Now, some of you might get offended. You know what? Too bad, so sad. If that's you, then you maybe need to grow up. Maybe you need to quit watching the television. Maybe you need to do some real serious research, and maybe perhaps you'll start evolving the mental acuity that you should have had a long time ago. Now, those of you who are awake don't have the mentality of a 4-year-old. You guys are closer, more or less, to rocket scientists or geniuses, because you see the bullshit, you understand it. It frightens you, for sure. Some of you it frightens. Some of us, it just pisses us off. Probably most of us would piss us off. We'll probably hit the wall, won't even know we've hit the wall, and we're done. And that's probably how that's going to go. But, I mean, look around you. It is just staggering. People are like turkeys. The government feeds them a lot of shit and they gobble. It's just the way it is, and I'm not going to pull no punches today, so if you can't handle strong English or salt-of-the-earth English, I suggest you go find yourself a foo-foo channel to go listen to. I don't care. This is the way it's got to be said, and you know what? I hope you share this with some of the people that have this composure of allowing the television to do their thinking for them. Nobody's even looking at the data correctly. And a lot of people send me stuff from Google. I said, why are you sending me stuff from Google? This just goes to show you how stupid people have become. They become so lazy and lethargic, and they won't look at another search engine. They won't even have enough common sense to just type in the URL straight on the URL to do the search. Now, I got to say something here, too. I'm going to interject something here. If I can see that the majority of the people have the mentality of a 4-year-old, imagine what the government is seeing. Imagine what the government is seeing. And what they're just licking at the chops, thinking, what retards we have here. When we're looking at a virus, okay, the last show I showed you 3 different links, one of them indicating that there is no connection to this COVID or anything else. Today there's a link on there that's going to indicate to you that there's a doctor in Bulgaria that has done over 1,000 autopsies on the people that were perpetrated to have had the COVID infection. Guess what he found? 0. Nada. Zip. And this is what gets me as well. The numbers have been fabricated and fabricated and fabricated. And in this fabrication of these numbers, people I'm not sure why they can't see right through the lie. Now I know a lot of people don't want to make any waves. They don't want to fight. They just want to be complicit. They want to, and complicity in Canada, complicity will kill every frickin' Canadian on the continent. Complicity will kill every bloody one of us. If we don't smarten up, give our heads a shake, pull it out of our arse, we are going to be all basically, if not dead, worse than dead in this country. We are already at war with China. People don't realize this either. I was looking at something the other day, and I was looking at what Mr. Trump did down in the States. I got to tell you, after reading the article, I have a whole different perspective on this man. I got more respect for him. He has got more balls than the last 5 presidents combined. I think the last 5 presidents combined were just foo-foo. You know, denutted, debagged, what do you call that there, where you take the balls off of a pig? Castrated. These other presidents were all castrated. He basically put the boost to China. I had no idea that when he put the tariffs in the United States, that it would have such a rippling effect on the Chinese economy. They are worse off than America. The visual that we're getting from the media is that China's, is an economic power. They're broke. They're 300%. They have a 300% debt load that they can't pay off. They got, again, 3 times the population. The United States is the country you either make money with or you go broke with, one or the other, and it depends on how you stroke the boat with America. And if he hadn't done what he did, and this is where the Europeans need to grow some balls, and I'm not talking about the people of Europe, the politicians, because I think they're all castrated over there too, if not worse. If they had gone along with Mr. Trump, they'd been singing the high praises of prosperity right now. But they decided to capitulate to this New World bullshit. I'm not a Trumper. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not. But I got to tell you, when I see somebody take a stand and have some balls to take the stand with and then create he bought us time is what he did. He bought everybody in the West time. And nobody's realizing this at all. And matter of fact, you got all these other bastards out there running around saying this and saying that. But you know what? I read that and I thought, holy shit. Then I took another little reading about what's going on in over there. China has been trying to bully the Russians, the East Indians, the Japanese, and the Australians. And guess what? All 4 of those countries told China the FRO. There's over 60 countries right now, I believe, if not more, that are suing China for this COVID thing. And what I think is going on right now, the real thing that's going on, is China's using the WHO and the United Nations, must have paid them some major bucks to do what they're doing to wage a war against the world. This is a world war going on. Okay, it's China against everybody else right now. And I never thought I'd see myself say this, but this is what I'm seeing. Because it's all making sense. None of the politicians are having any balls to say no to this bullshit. None of them are standing upright on any level to say no to this corruption. So you gotta wonder who's paying who here. So I think seriously, it's going to come to the will of the people. And you know what? I'll tell you something else. Those of us who are awake or in the minority, we can win this. You know, whenever I look at the Bible, I look at Joshua and Caleb. Joshua and Caleb went with 10 other guys to spy on the enemy, on people in Jericho. And the other 10 came back and said, oh man, these guys are huge, they're big, they're powerful, oh, we'll never beat them, oh. And Caleb and Joshua said, chuck you, Farley, bud. We'll go kick their ass and take their land. Just like that. He said, we will win. We will beat the bloody hell out of those bastards. Okay, that's the way they had it. They probably didn't say these words, but this is the attitude they probably had. It was probably, okay, it would have been me, that's what I would have said. We can kick their ass and take what God has given us. Now I do believe that, okay, yeah, and even with what the hell is that guy's name? I gotta think of his name now. Shit. Oops, sorry, slipped my head. He had 300 guys go with him, and I know everybody's going to send me an email and just slipped my mind. Anyway, the guy had to fight the Philistines or whatever, and it'll come to me, I hope. And God had him separate from him 300 guys, because he had brought 5 or 10,000. God said, "Got too many people, too many people." So with 300 men, he wiped out an army of 10,000. And all he did was use his ingenuity. That's all he did. I can't think of it. Just it's in the tip of my tongue, and Anyway, I can hear it now. So some of the ministers, you should know this. Oh, it's going to bug me all night long now. But anyway, point is, it's always been a minority that has won for the majority. Always. Always, always, always. Even David took out Goliath. Goliath was a super soldier. He was a super soldier armed with super weaponry. And David whipped his ass. They took a stone, popped it between his eyes, and then with his own technology, Goliath's technology, took his bloody head off and said, "Here you go, shove that up your arse." And then the Philistines ran off. That's how it was. That's how it is. And we got to start thinking this way. I'm not going to be complicit to these because these morons want to jump off a cliff. I'm going to let them jump if they want to jump that bad. But if we can throw in a lifeline, then fine. But if they don't want to grab it, I'm not going to force them to do that either. If they don't want to grab the lifeline because they're too busy following their god Baal or Moloch or whatever the hell they're following, then you know what? They can go join them in hell. That's how I see it. But if they want to be reached and grabbed, hey, we'll help them. That's how I see it. If you want to jump into the pit of hell and you're that adamant about it, you want to wear a mask, worshiping Moloch and worshiping Baal, then you deserve the beating that God is going to give you. That's how I see it, anyhow. Like I said, that's still bugging me. I know the guy. I read the story a million times. For the life of me, I can't think of his name. Sheesh. Anyhow. But we may have a chance, really. And all we got to do is just stand our ground. Just stand our ground, stand our ground. I had a couple people come to my store today and said, "I can't wear a mask." I said, "Don't worry about it. Don't wear it." I'm not the one that should be enforcing this anyway. If the province of Ontario wants to make everybody wear a freaking mask, or if the medical staff in the respective cities want everybody to wear a mask, then let them enforce it. If you want people to wear a mask, you go out there and you enforce it. You enforce. You go and stand in front of everybody's store. Say, "You got to wear a mask. You got to wear a mask. You got to wear." You do it. That's how I see it. I shouldn't have to pay any fines or have to suffer any consequences. If somebody wants to walk into my store, I'm going to let them walk into my store. If they have a health condition, they can come in. You have in Ontario, for those of you, and in Canada, for those of you in Canada, there are 2 exemptions to wearing a mask. One is health, the other one's religious. If the store you're going into does not want you to go into the store because of whatever reason, and they turn you down, tell them very politely, FRO, and walk away. Find yourself another store that will allow you to go in there with a health condition or religious exemption. Let those bastards go broke. That's it. That's the best way to teach anybody the hardest lesson. In the West, the God that rules in the West is the God of paper. Whether it's a brown piece of vinyl, a red piece of vinyl, a green piece of vinyl, a purple piece of vinyl, a blue piece of vinyl, a brown tanned coin or a silver coin with a brown tan center. These are the gods of these people, soon to be digitized. If they don't have enough of that, they die. They just run dry. So you have the power. You have the power. Seriously, you have the power. So if they don't want to allow you in the store for whatever reason, if you have your exemption and they still won't let you in, you know what? At that point, find yourself another place. The one interesting thing about this all is nothing is universal. That's one thing for sure. You'll find that there always will be somebody who says, "Well, if they don't want to take your money, I will." And then and for the rest of Ontario, Canada as well, cash is still legal tender in this country. If they refuse to accept cash, then perhaps you should take their name and number and contact whoever you need to contact. I'm not sure who you need to contact, and say, why aren't they taking cash? Why are they not? I mean, they are trying to force this online banking horse shit. This electronic digitized bullshit. This has got to stop. I mean, it should be and if anything's mandated, that doesn't mean it's legal. Doesn't mean it's legal at all. So like I said, we just need to hold our... And the other thing too is, those of us who are awake, seriously, we need to start forming our own community so that we can barter with each other. Barter with each other, use cash, use whatever that we need as long as we can to keep ourselves up and running and sustaining. If the rest of them want to go into that realm of total abyss, c'est la vie, go for it. Don't let the door hit you in the arse on the way out. And when you get swallowed up by your Moloch and your Baal, then you know what? Perhaps then maybe you'll wake up to a real living God. Perhaps. I don't know. Some of you may, some of you might not. But the rest of us, we need to go do what the early church used to do. Be self-sustaining. So that we're not part of this whatever. And initially it may take a little time to get that going, but I think we need to all work on this on some level. If you're a good gardener, start growing food. If you're a good carpenter, help people fix things. Whatever your talent is. And if you say to me, I don't have a talent, you develop one. What's so hard? Grow some cannabis. Cannabis, you can barter cannabis even with the people that are jumping into the arms of Moloch. Here, this will help take the pain away while you jump into the abyss. I'm kind of lit up, so I see what's going on around me, and I gotta say, I'm so impressed. You have no idea. I'm just so impressed. Let me see what I got here today. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Truck drivers. I'm an old ex-truck driver from way back, and I never had to worry about a lot of things. I had to worry about crime and stuff, and I used to carry my own little means of defense. I never carried a gun, but I always used to, my tire buddy and my knives I used to carry with me all the time for protection. A couple times I needed to protect myself. So it was one of those things that I used for protection, only protection. Truck drivers are now being assaulted. Imagine that. Truck drivers driving down the road, somebody's coming along and pulling truck drivers out, beating the hell out of truck drivers. I find that a little bit, that just gets on my nerves just a wee bit on that one. Truck drivers have a hard enough time doing their job. That is one bitch of a job. If you have never driven truck for a living, then you have no idea how tough that can be. Running your backside off, trying to make deliveries from point A to point B, having a dispatcher so far up your arse you can count the cornflakes you had for breakfast the night before, having to deal with all the traffic that you're dealing with in different towns and cities, having to deal with the vendors that sometimes you have to deal with. It gets to be one of those moments where you want to reach out and touch somebody for a long time, because it can be one of those jobs. It is the #1 stress job in North America. It has surpassed the air traffic controllers. It did that about 20 years ago. But when I hear a truck driver being assaulted, you know what? These are the wrong boys to F with. I'm going to put it to you that way. These boys, some of them carry guns, and they don't fool around. Some of them have some mean hardware. And I will tell you guys, if you think you're in this Antifa bullshit and you think you're tough and rough, I got news for you. You're going to mess with the wrong truck driver, and you're going to get your heads blown clean off your shoulder. And you know what? I won't warn you. Nobody will give a rat's backside about you. And the other thing too, when truckers run in a convoy, if you think you're going to take those boys out, I got news for you there too. Someone is going to get an ass whooping, and it won't be the truckers. I saw this and I thought, this is not cool. And the truckers are now not going into places where cities have defunded the police. Can you imagine that? Now think about that for a minute. Why did they defund the police? It gave an opportunity for any terrorist group coming from the WHO, to come in and invade a country. Boy, this pisses me off. It pisses me off that we have no leaders that have any testicles. None. If they're women, they have no breasts. None. They got no moxie. Zero. None. It just, woof on this one. And I think, seriously, as Canadians, we're not a people that go looking for trouble. In fact, we prefer just to have a pretty easy neighborly-like, atmosphere with each other, which I think is a great thing. I really do. And it should be that way in any country. You get along, get to know your neighbors, and make friends. I got friends of all kinds of colors and persuasions, I don't look for trouble with anybody. Try to make friends. You never know. And you make good friends, and it's almost like an extended family. But when someone's going to come along and just basically dog or take over, an area, whatever, it makes me think that, you know what, maybe as Canadians we should all be armed. And I mean armed. Because arms, I'm not saying they should be gun crazy like in the United States. They shoot everything in sight. Those are the people that really don't understand guns and the nature of guns. People that are good gun owners down there don't do that either. But if you have a gun, you have a rifle, some sort of assault weapon, an Uzi, automatic. I'm one of those guys. I don't have that. I don't have one of those. But if I could get one, I would. I'm not worried about legalities here. At this point, if we don't have the police to protect us, and the government is not going to do anything for us, they're just going to allow an invading force to come into the country, then it stands the reason that we only have ourselves to rely on. And once the word gets out that people are armed and are ready to defend themselves from whatever invasion that might come in, that in itself can stop an assault. The reason why the Japanese or the Chinese have never invaded America is because Americans own guns. They would have came through the Southwest. They would have came through Mexico, but they realized that they would have had to fight their way into the heartland of America, and everybody there would have had a gun. They would have had to fight everybody from point A to point B. They would have lost probably half or 3/4 of their army by the time they got there. And this is sound logic. Police ain't going to be there. Government is not going to be there. Something to think about. You got no government that's going to protect you. They got no balls. They just going to sit there like little panty waists, tiptoeing through the tulips, strumming their ukulele, tiptoe, whatever the hell they're doing. The police day is taken away, and they're not going to jump in on anybody who might be of a darker persuasion, skin tone wise. Because then they might get called, they might say, oh, Black Lives Matter. Well, I thought Canadian lives mattered. I could be wrong, but I thought everybody that's a Canadian, the life mattered. That's how I looked at it. So if they're not going to be there, then then it's up to you. Now, the other thing about the police not being there, what are they going to replace the police with? Are they going to replace the police with military? Canada doesn't have enough military to start a Boy Scout camp. Okay, so there goes that. So what are we going to do? Well, what if they brought in robots? AI robots, like RoboCop, a real advanced robo-type cop that could patrol the areas. Sort of like iRobot. Remember iRobot and had all those robots running around everywhere doing stuff? What if they bring them in? What then? They just follow orders. Hit them with a frequency and they follow that frequency. Something I want you to think about. Something that I want you to see. The COVID and all that, that's just a distraction. That's a pile of bullshit. So we got to start looking at the other side of this coin. Well, okay, while they got me looking at all this crap, and every 3 weeks they're going to try to scare me with some bullshit, what are they really doing? Okay, they defunded the police. Okay, so that in itself was a problem. Now we've been invaded by an outside force. That's a problem. So now what's their solution going to be? Oh, they're going to move in with some kind of solution. Was it going to be a military? Well, can't do that because some of the light-skinned people might, violently hit somebody of a dark-skinned nature. So now you're back to square one again with this, biased, prejudicial nonsense. This game of color, this game of plantation. Everybody's on the plantation, so, oh, we got a white man, we got a black man, we got a brown man, we got a red man, we got a yellow man. I thought we were just men. Could be wrong. Men and women. I was just talking to somebody about that today. Remember back in the 60s, when there was a real bad racial issue going on in the Detroit metro area. After the riots, everything blew over. For 60 years, people have tried extremely hard to bridge the gaps between the racial stuff. Now with corporations and banks and businesses, a lot of that never flew. Matter of fact, they created the atmosphere for prejudices to thrive. That's one thing they all did. But in general, the general population tried really hard. I mean, we even started seeing interracial marriages going on and all kinds of things. People were trying to bridge those gaps back then. Now, with the stroke of a channel, this program that they put out there, in the short period of like not even an hour, they have destroyed 60 years of peaceful coexistence and integration. They destroyed it. Now, the friend I was talking with, she was telling me, yeah, there were still problems back then. I said, oh, yeah, there definitely were still problems. There was a lot of hurdles that had to be hurdled, and a lot of them were hurdled. The worst place I ever saw racism was in Alberta, in Calgary, Alberta. I had never seen what I saw there with natives. Natives were unbelievably abused. And I thought we outgrew this 20 years ago. I'm thinking in my mind, we went through this 20, 25, 30 years ago, and they're still playing with this. But maybe it was me that needed the reality check. I thought because we were striving so hard to eliminate that, and again, it wasn't completely eliminated here. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't all rosy. There was still, you still had things pop up here and there that indicate, racism. But I would say, for instance, Windsor right now is a multicultural city. It's not a perfect city, but it works for the most part. All gone as a result of not here so much, but it has created this devastation that was completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. When we're looking at all that's transpired in the last 60 years, it's all being wiped away. They are creating divisions like we've never seen. Through this COVID, through this racial bullshit, all of it, And that's what I'm saying. That's the distraction. Cops are being defunded. We're losing policemen. They're trying to take away your guns. They're having Antifa take over Queen's Park. COVID, all this bullshit on COVID. They keep on every 3 weeks, man. We're going to hear something new about COVID. Oh, COVID's killing. No, the numbers have gone up. God almighty, the numbers. Oh. What a load of shit. All of it. We got all that going on. Then the premier or prime minister or some parliamentarian will come up there with some kind of little speech. Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. We got to really, we got to tighten the belt. We got to do this. And, we got to toe the line. And we got to really cooperate. And we got to work together. We'll get through this together. We're going to get through this together. My ass. We're not going to get through this together. That's the team game. We're part of a team. There's no I in team. I used to say, yeah, you're correct. There is no I in team, but there's no team when it comes to paying my bills either. It's only I. So remember, we are not on a team. We're not even on a basketball court. We are individual people that are being suppressed, and distracted with deception and lies. This is all demonic. This is all Luciferian. This is all of the devil. All of it. And we're Gideon. That's who it was. I remember Gideon. See, I knew it was going to come to me. That was driving me nuts. Gideon was the guy that 300 guys, 300 men wiped out an army of about 10,000. We just got to have that kind of mindset. I look at it this way. We need to protect what we have. We need to protect the people that are awake. We need to reinforce and encourage each other. We need to keep on staying connected. If you don't have a connection, I think maybe we need to start forming networks. They got everybody splintered so bad. Trust is the real issue right now. Trust is the real problem. And I get that, and I don't really have an answer for you how to trust with people that are whatever. I get people call me all the time, and they're talking to me about being targeted. They're talking to me about the nano. They're talking to me about how they're afflicted. They're talking to me about some of their diseases and concerns. They're talking to me about their health. They're talking to me about how to protect themselves from what's going on. I can give them a lot of answers, and a lot of different things and some solutions. But when it comes to trust, it's really hard because we have all been stung, so we're now all a little gun shy about trusting. Me, I'm a believer in the living God. I believe in Jesus through Jesus. And that allows me to have a certain amount of trust. Because I'm not a trusting type either. But even among people that say to me that they're believers in Jesus and blah, 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 if I don't pick up correctly or resonate with them on any level, I don't trust, period. Just because you tell me you believe in Jesus, don't think you're going to get my trust that way. Bible says, my sheep hear my voice. So remember that. So when we're dealing with trust, everyone's got to start somewhere. I don't know what to do to help that along. I really don't. I'm working night and day with solutions, disengaging this program in my own body, helping other people disengage it in their body. We're in a war, man. We are in a war, and I'm telling you, I do believe China's behind it. I believe they're using the UN and the WHO, and I don't know why the United Nations and the United States have all said, you know what, we have had enough. We're gonna. This is all gonna come down to a war anyway. It really is. There's no escaping this. I think they're giving India a chance to have a war. Oh yeah, I was talking to you about what was going on the other side of the world because people don't hear the news. I was watching this. China decided to create a skirmish with India, as some of the soldiers from India went on the Pakistan side, and apparently they got into a big fight, a big brouhaha, and apparently the East Indians, I guess, beat the hell out of the Chinese. And they went in a little deeper and they got into a bit of a skirmish because of some territorial dispute. And one of the soldiers had killed their commanding officer, so they kind of lost it. Australia, they went after Australia and they tried to do something in Australia. So Australia again legislated some legislation in Australia, and that put the boot to China. Then Japan decided to align itself with India. And then the Chinese went after Russia. They said, this land is ours over here. China is going to start something globally. Mark my words. China is going to start something globally. Mark my words. All right, sorry about that. I had a phone and I had a bit of I hit the wrong button. But anyway, back on the saddle here. Hopefully this will work great. It's talking about the wars coming, inevitability, and about trust, and keeping and trying to work out some kind of trust. But I think we need to really start looking at, instead of staying and contained in the system, looking at, because we're always talking about going off grid, and we're always talking about, possibly leaving and going way up north. Well, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to go off grid where we're at right now, and then see how that works as far as going up north. If that never transpires, then at least wherever we are, we can then build that inner community that we need to build. I'm not sure what it would take. I don't even know how it would work. I have no idea. I've always been. I worked with people and I worked alone, and for the most part, I've always worked alone. It's always been easier for me to get stuff done. So again, this is something that those of you who know how to organize and structure might be something to consider. And even finances, we got to start thinking in alternatives, because if they go into a digitized financing, which is what they're going to do, eventually I'm going to tell you what's going to happen there. They're going to come up with another scare tactic. They're going to keep on scaring everybody into this. This is what will happen. Oh yeah, I'm going to take my shot. I'm going to get the chip. I'm going to be chipped. I'll be digitized. As long as there's a fight going on, you'll be able to sustain whatever access you're going to be able to sustain, whatever freedoms you have. The moment you comply to that chip, you are doomed to be jailed. You're just basically trapped. And that's what they want, the ultimate trap. Because once they have you in that chipping system like the Chinese have, see, the Chinese, you don't have to have cash. You just walk in, they take a picture of you, and they deduct it from your account because they're wearing a chip. Okay, other countries like Estonia and some other places are also establishing this kind of stuff. I don't want to be chipped. I don't want to be tagged like a dog. And I really don't want to rely or depend on this system that we have. The system that we have is a piece of shit. It really is. Everything is half-assed. We're buying stuff from countries that don't don't have any quality to whatever. We're constantly consuming. Planet is constantly being polluted. Nothing's really being done there. Nothing has been done for 60 years. The little bit of surface or topical aesthetics that they've created to make it appear like something's been done is happened. But I mean, basically, this planet has been raped. It's been raped by all the globalists. It's been raped by all the corporations. It's been raped by politicians. I mean, the planet has been raped. Just raped. And we need to realize that this raping, there's only so much raping you can do before there's nothing left to rape. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. That's how it is. There's no nice words, nice language, nice nothing today. You know, I like I said, I'm just annoyed. Annoyed to the fact that I'm seeing people jumping into the abyss, jumping over a cliff, jumping into a cliff. And as some people are like, well, one woman came in today, she saw the signs on my store. She says, oh, I want to shake your hand. Oh, dude, that's dead on. That is so, I'm so tired of these. She started speaking Canadian at that point. Retards that, you know, they're so stupid. They don't believe, they don't read, they don't. I said, yeah, I know. We're all dealing with that. But I think we also need to realize that we're going to have to fight. There's no question about it. You can't be quiet. See, like I said, the complicity of this is the problem. We've all become complicit. We don't want to start trouble. We don't want to stir up waves. But you know what? We need to stir up a wave. Yeah, because what's happening is every time they release some sort of new, you know, anxiety. Oh, the numbers are going up. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're gonna die. Oh man, we're gonna just die. Oh, we're gonna die. These people freak out. And nobody's saying, well, we are going to die. Whether it's going to be this, that, or whatever. COVID isn't the only thing that can kill us. Hell, I can drop dead of a heart attack. Cancer's all around us. Autoimmune disorders can kill us. Hell, a heart attack can kill me. You know, I'm asthmatic, and asthma can kill me. Walk outside, a bus can run me over. A train can take me out. A plane can fall from the sky. A meteor storm can take me out. There's so many things that can go wrong. You know, hell, I can get killed by a gang. I can get killed by the police. I can get, you know, I can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. A bullet can take me out. I mean, we can all die. That is inevitable. It's the doorway out of this shithole. It really is. I mean, see, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. But that means this flesh and blood that we have has been polluted and you know, not polluted only, but has been corrupted. Won't have any place in heaven. We'll have a new body according to the Bible. So, you know, that's my point. We're going to leave it all behind anyway. So we got to just figure, I've always looked at life from this angle. You know, life the way I always seen it was, you have what you have as tools to get you through life. That's all they are, tools. Whether you got a lot of money, little money, whether you're gifted, whether you're not gifted. All these are ends to means, ends to get us through life. And when we go, we leave it all behind anyway, because it's all been corrupted and, you know, messed up. Just totally messed up. It's been, again, integrated with this demonic system. You know, there will be no place for this anywhere in the next life. None of it. We'll all stay here. We'll stay. Shit belongs in the toilet bowl, and the planet has become the toilet bowl. That's the way it is. That's how it is. That's how we all walk. You know, some of us don't have any clue of anything, and that's too bad. So sad. But you know what? Bible says, "My people perish for lack of wisdom. My people perish for lack of understanding." It almost says that if you're this stupid, you're not meant to be alive. If you're this dumb, you're not meant to be alive. Nothing there. The only reason most of us are alive is because by the grace of God we were here. That's it. There's no other explanation. You know, most of us are too dumb to tie our shoe with Velcro. And the politicians are too dumb. They're so dumb they don't even know how to slip the shoe on. This is what we have, Dumb and Dumber. And the dumber are leading the dumb. It amazes me. It just amazes me. We are not, how is it? We don't have the option or the luxury of being quiet. When we see all the distractions are in front of us, then you better start looking beside you and behind you, because that's what's coming down the pipe. War is inevitable. War is inevitable. I said that before. China, Japan, Russia, Australia has basically told, and the United States, because the United States was already over there as well, has all told China, FRO, in their own way. And now China is using the mechanisms of the WHO to start a war with the planet. All this came from China. It didn't come from bats. I forget what the first thing. Oh, the first COVID, the first one came from pigs. You remember that? Oh, the pigs are contaminated. Oh, we got those pigs from Germany. Or we got those pigs from America. Oh, those pigs, they caused the COVID. Oh, the pigs. And after a while, no, it wasn't the pigs. Oh, no, because these people lived on pork in China. So they had to change. Oh, no, they lived on bats. So the bats brought it in. Oh, the bats. See, this is the other thing about, like I said, observation. But because most Canadians have the mentality of a 4-year-old, they've lost the capacity to observe. How many of you, and I'm saying this again, how many of you in Canada have gone to Superstore, No Frills, Metro, Sobeys, Walmart, Costco, Canadian Tire, what's the other big box store? Best Buy, furniture stores. How many of you been in all these different types of stores? How many of you been into 7-Eleven? How many of you been into the dollar store? How many of you walking down the street? And has anybody in this country, in Canada, seen anybody drop dead like they did in China? No. Nada. Zero. They're telling us that viruses don't live above 80-degree temperature. Right now in Windsor, Ontario, we hit about 100 degrees today with the Humidex. 100 degrees. You're sweating your ass off down here. A virus has said, no, I'm leaving the building, baby. I'm going where it's cooler. So in Windsor, Ontario, Essex County, for those of you in Essex County, give your head a shake. We all right now would have herd immunity by now. Infections come through the eyes and the ears. Are you guys wearing the mask of Zorro and you got earplugs on? Because that's how you would have got it. Some of you say, well, people are dying. Really? Where are they dying? Where are they dying? The numbers have been all fraud. The reason why we have any numbers at all is because the hospitals that these people went into, the hospitals killed them. This was done in Italy. This was done in New York. This is being done in New Jersey. That's why the numbers in America are so high. And then, who's making money here? The guys that have stock in the mask and in the gloves. That's why they keep pushing it. They're not making enough money. They were going to get so many millions, but they're not getting it. So now they're going to push that fear factor and those masks. Those masks. Oh, bloody. And those masks. The cloth masks are the most dangerous to wear. They spread whatever. And they contaminate the person the most. See, the paper masks poison you with harmful gases and chemicals. The cloth masks basically contain everything. So when you go into a store and they got chlorine gas and other things that get going up in the air, you're breathing that through that mask. It's poisoning you, and it concentrates in that cloth material. I said this before, I'll say it again. Probably within 2 to 5 years, the cancer rates of the brain, the nasal area, the sinus cavity, the face, the throat, the thyroid, the thymus, the bronchi, the respiratory, and the heart and the esophagus, the cancer rates are probably going to quintuple. The cancer is just going to explode. Okay, and this is the other thing someone told me today, which is really interesting. See, we're also worried about COVID, right? COVID, oh, COVID, good God, COVID, the boogeyman, oh. Boogeyman, COVID is coming to take you away. Nobody's looking at how many people are dying from the mask. But if you go to the hospital, oh, he died of COVID. He died of COVID. The mask didn't do that. No, COVID did. Nobody's talking about that. You see that on the media? You see that on television? You see that on Facebook? You see that on YouTube? You see that on any social media? Of course not. So what happens with most of you wearing these F-tarded masks? Since you don't see the report about people dying from the mask, you keep on wearing it because you just blissfully, in your ignorance, tiptoe through the tulips, not realizing there's a serpent in the garden. Oh, tiptoe. You know, they're not showing you the details of the dangers of these masks, are they? And I did an article on that in the last show. That needs to be printed and shared with everybody. Anybody that's the head of a medical area and is requiring people to wear a mask, that son of a bitch is a murderer. A murderer. And I don't have any qualms about that. And they should be dealt with in ways that are appropriate. But anybody telling you this, that it's an authority, then I want them to show you evidence. And this is what this Ahmed guy has got to show us here in Windsor. Show me the evidence that this actually does something. Because I got evidence from the WHO saying it does nothing. See, this is what I mean. We got to quit being complicit here. Because you'll be complicit yourself right into a cancer. And we are between a hard place and a rock. Everybody's facing this. Hard place and a rock. You know. And we have to understand that there is no easy answers. Unless we come up and brainstorm with some solutions, this is going to be a fight. And we are at war. You know. And there's no candy-ass way of saying this. You know, I think what got me off today, or got me pissed off today, is when truck drivers were getting shot and beat up for doing their job. And that's a bitch of a job, I got to tell you. So, like I said, these guys have it hard. You have no idea. Everyone thinks that driving a truck is just basically getting in a truck and you're a paid tourist. That was a standing joke in my day. But man, I'll tell you, when you got to drive across the country, you got to be there in 3 days. That's brutal. That is brutal. So and then you got to deal with somebody being aggressive with a truck driver. I think the truck drivers need to drive in convoys again, like they used to. You know, help escort each other to your destination, kind of thing. As one gets off, another one gets on, and you know gets in the convoy. And I'd be locked and loaded. I wouldn't care. Somebody comes up to the front tire, to my front tire. Well. Back in the day, these guys did not hesitate to put out a rifle or a gun. You came near their front tires, you got shot. And if you came on the right side, you wound up in a ditch. That's how the game was played. That's how the game was played. I talked to a woman truck driver one day. She said this guy kept screwing with her, kept cutting her off. So she was in the left lane, and he was being a real bit of a jerk. She did a quick turn to the right, turned to the left real quick. Next thing she saw, the guy was airborne. He was doing a Dukes of Hazzard over a ditch. I said, did he survive? She said, I don't know. I kept going. Like I said, don't screw around with a truck driver. They will not fool around. That's just the way it is. You know. And they may come looking for you. And you know what? They ain't going to be nice. They won't be nice. It's just, that's the way it used to be. Now, maybe it's changed. I don't know. Maybe the guys have been tofu'd out. Who knows? But anyway. Like I said, I kind of, you know, like I said, when we see stuff like that, I mean, it's bad enough. We got all this bullshit we got to deal with. But I think, like I said, everybody needs to look behind you. Don't look at the bullshit on television and the media. You better look behind you. You know, there's a lot going on in this world right now. And China's being contained by 5 different countries right now for sure, and 60 countries suing China. So it is feeling maybe a little cornered, but you know what? This thing did come from your country. You are in a global neighborhood. Maybe it's time you fix the damage. My thought anyway. If it actually all came from China, which it didn't. We all know it came from the U.S. and came from Canada as well. So they're all just as much a part of all this conspiracy that's going on with this whole nonsense about this infectious, what's a good term for this? Fantasy. This infectious fantasy that they have infected everybody with through the media. Through the media. And you know what? I bet you're watching more. I don't watch the news, so I don't know for sure, but I bet you're watching more and more news media people wearing their masks on television. Oh, I'm wearing my mask. Oh, yes. You know, see me, I'm wearing a mask. See, that's how dangerous it is because I have to wear a mask and I'm a TV celebrity and I have to wear a mask. Or the celebrities from Hollywood coming up there. Yes, you need to wear a mask. See, I'm wearing a mask. I'm trying to protect my family. I don't want to die. Blah, blah, blah. And they put on that whole acting nonsense. These are paid liars. Okay, paid liars. So, like I said, you know, today I kind of lit off on this, and I wasn't planning on going that direction, but that's the way it went today. And if you did get offended, I only apologize that you got offended. I don't apologize for saying the truth. And if the truth made you offended, oh well. I got on here another PDF. It's called Physiochemical Characteristics of Nanomaterials. I want you to start, hopefully you're getting the connection between nanomaterials, nanobiology, nanobiotech, and frequencies, and how they're all these are causing all the health issues. They have been causing all the health issues, not COVID. You know, all of them, all the health issues that we've suffered in the last 60 years can be all tied to this material, all of it, all of it. I don't want to forget that New Brunswick now leads the way in protection in Canada against for children not to get vaccinated. Imagine that. New Brunswick. Yay, New Brunswick. They barely won it, though. See, there's this, like I said, this is all about sacrificing to Lucifer, sacrificing to Moloch, sacrificing to Baal. This is what this is. This is human sacrificing. This is being repeated again. I cannot believe we've gone back to this shit again. It's incredible. It's incredible that we have gone right back to this horse hockey. I'm beside myself when I see this. This happened in ancient days, and everybody who went down this road wound up having a devastated civilization. Now it's a global pandemic that this children's sacrificing going on today with vaccines. See, they're trying to get everybody prepared to prepare your children to be vaccinated with this COVID-19 so they can be now chipped and dipped and stripped. It's amazing. Just amazing. You know, just amazing. I keep saying, why am I here? Why am I here? What a shithole. Anyway, I want to point these things out today. But the last one on the children and on the physiochemical characteristics of nanomaterials, I think you'll find it a good read. You'll start hopefully making the connection between this and frequencies. Somebody contacted me today and said they were going to use the Rife. I said, not a good idea. They wanted to get into whatever talk, and I said, look, if you're going to do that, don't bother wasting your money buying a triangle or a bucket. It ain't going to work. So I'm of that. If you call me up, and you talk to me, I'm going to be as candid as they get. I may speak even Canadian sometimes. I'm very salt of the earth. I don't like mincing words. I don't like lying to nobody. I don't like manipulating nobody, and I don't like bullshitting nobody. That's just the way I roll. I'll tell it to you the way it is, how it is, and where it's at. I don't care. If it's going to do you good, I'll tell you it's going to do you good. If it's going to screw you up, I'll tell you it's going to screw you up. At that point, you decide. I'm not going to argue with you. I will tell you what I know works and what doesn't work, and what we should be doing, or what I think we should be doing, and what whatever. So if you come to me and you're seriously looking for help, I'll help you. I'll bend backwards over for you. If you're really trying to find some solutions, I'll be there. But if you're going to be hemming and hawing and tell me you're going to do this and you're going to do that, I will tell you at that point, hit the road. Don't bother me. Go do your thing. And when you get done doing your thing, and if it don't work, come on back when you're ready to listen. That's the way I roll. You know. And again, I'm not being evil or mean-spirited. I'm just, you know what? I don't have time. These days, my time is a premium. Speaking of time, now some of you are ordering stuff from me, and this is good, and I'm grateful. But it may take up to 3 weeks coming from Canada. So if it doesn't come to you within 3 days, because I know most Americans are used to a 3-day service, you don't get that in Canada. So I get where you're coming from, but we are no longer living in that reality. So I have some people get their stuff within 5 days, some get it in 10, some get it in 15. So if you don't get it right away, if you don't get it within at least 2 weeks, usually I try to give you a tracking number. Sometimes I forget, but if you don't get it within 2 weeks, contact me. If I got the tracking, I'll give it to you. You can then look it up yourself. But I've had people, when I ship stuff over to the United States, it has taken 3 weeks. So it's not abnormal for that to happen. Just to let you know, so that you don't feel, what's the term, apprehensive, about anything. I'm not going to steal your money. I don't want your money that bad, to be honest with you. All I want is what's mine. Regarding to finances, I understand everybody works hard for their money, so I'm not there to try to steal it. I'm not that type of guy. I'm not built that kind of way. And that's how it rolls. So like I said, if there is a delay in the shipping, don't panic. If you got a tracking number, check the tracking number. If not, wait a couple weeks and see what goes on. Alrighty, I'm always talking at the end of the show about, reading the Gospels. I think today, more than ever, if you haven't read the Gospels, if you've never even opened up a Bible, it might be a good idea to read the Gospels. See, I'm of the mindset of John 3:16, John 3:17. God so loved the world, He gave His only Son, that whoever should believe in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God so loved the world, He gave His only... No, sorry, that's not the one. Repeating that one again. Geez, what's going on with me today? I know these verses like the back of my hand. Anyway, John 3:16 and 17, God sent the Son into the world that the world may not to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through Him. So I'm of that mindset. I'm not here to condemn anybody, and I'm not here to offer you any judgment. The only judgment I'm going to give you is you judge yourself, and judge it based on God's standards, not yours. So when I read those two verses, I think, well, everybody needs to have an opportunity to hear the gospel, or at least read it. Whether you believe it or not, that is entirely up to you. But I will say to you this much: at least read it. Like I said, you read every other book. You read your Playboys, you read your Hustlers, you read your textbooks, you read your math books, you read your science books, you read your Maclean's magazine, Chatelaine, Time magazine, Look magazine. You read all these things. You read different ideologies, different philosophies. Well, start reading the gospel. Take a look at it. So just read it. It'll either make sense to you or it don't. And if you're having problems reading it or understanding it, I always tell people, talk to God, ask Him to help you understand what it means. It might be a good idea to say, hey, God, show me what this means, before you can get into it. So that I always say as an optimistic point of perspective, so that you can have an opportunity to see maybe another perspective or another venue, and go from there. Take it or leave it, go from there. Alrighty, until the next, forget one more thing. Jeez, man, today's been something else. Okay, on my site, I have some people on there that are actively trying to make changes and do things for other people. If you can financially support those people, please do so. If you can't help them, share their links, share their information, share. Alrighty? The more we're connected, the more we know, the more we understand, the better solutions we can come up with. All right, until the next segment, to your health. Take care.